Hi, everyone. This is Dr. Gail Carson. Welcome to Living Regret Free, a program that shows you how to live a better and more joyful life. As an added bonus, I invite you to listen to an introduction to my Mindset Matters program, which ties into this so well. Go to www.sobmindset.com. It's free, and I know you will enjoy it. If you'd like to contact me personally, drop me a line at gailcarson13@gmail.com or go to my website, www.spunkyoldbroad.com, and sign up for my weekly newsletter.
My guest today is Nada Hogan. Nada is an acupuncturist, an Oriental medicine practitioner, and a transformational life coach. She also hosts her own podcast called Darah, New Belief, that is named in honor of her daughter, Darah, who was killed in a car accident when she was 18 years old. Nada was devastated by the loss of her daughter, and she learned firsthand that the power to change and heal is only available inside of ourselves. Through spiritual laws and principles, Nada teaches her clients how to navigate the pain and trauma of the loss of a loved one and how to allow their heartbreak to become their most powerful and healing story, allowing it to propel them to greater meaning and purpose. Welcome, Nada.
Oh, thank you so much, Gail. It's my pleasure and honor to be here with you today.
Well, it sounds like you have it together now that some time has passed after the loss of your daughter, Darah. Is that accurate, and how long has it been?
Oh, well, Gail, it's been almost 11 years. In June, it will be 11 years. And I would love to say that I have it together, and no, I don't. I have long stretches of time that it is very good and very much together. But just over this holiday, the Easter holiday, there were moments where I just fell apart, and it's hard to reconcile the fact that as family members are coming into your house and there's boyfriends and girlfriends and fiancés and new babies, that you won't participate in that with your own child. And so there's stumbling blocks along the way. But I am happy to say that I have long stretches of healing and feeling really good about where I'm at in my life and not having nearly the stumbling blocks that I did have in my past. But it's a process. It's a long journey, and it's a process.
I'm sure that it is a process, and I'm sure that it is a long journey, and you never forget. You never, ever forget, but you hope that it gets better and easier. So how do you deal? Do you have any guilt in moving forward? I mean, you're teaching people, how to be transformed in their own lives. You are helping people feel better through your acupuncture and also the Oriental medicine. So where are you in terms of your own guilt?
So right now, I don't have any guilt at all. But at the beginning, I was filled with guilt in moving forward. And it's one of the things that I have found the majority of my clients struggle with also. Who am I, and how dare I to laugh about anything when your child is dead, or when you have lost some loved one, your spouse or a parent? Guilt tends to override us, and we feel bad about living our life. And I am very happy to say that guilt doesn't play any part in my life anymore, because I was able to come to that point of realizing that if I hold that guilt in me and I'm not able to live my life fully, I don't honor my daughter. In fact, I shut down her life that she lived here for 18 years. And I shut down any help that I am able to give at that time just to my family, to be able to support them and help them heal through this process that was devastating whenever you have any kind of death of a loved one in the family. So working through guilt, it's a process. It takes a little bit of time, but when you can get to that point where you are living your life fully and guilt-free, it is the most freeing experience. And I believe it allows you to connect deeper with your loved one who has passed away.
And I think it makes a difference too, how somebody has passed. For example, when my husband passed away, I wasn't even here. I was in another city totally. But I knew that he was ill. I also knew that he didn't do everything he was supposed to do, and it didn't hurt any less, but I can't say that I felt the guilt. On the other hand, my older son passed away when he was 45, and again, it was different because it wasn't an accident. You know, it wasn't something that was necessarily unexpected. It wasn't expected, but it was through pneumonia, and it just happened very fast. So I think that makes a difference, how it happens, when it happens, all of those things. But then you started towards your path of acupuncture and life coaching. So where did that come in, and how did that play into moving you forward?
Well, so after my daughter passed away, I really was walking what I call a fine line between reality and falling into the abyss. And I truly knew that I needed to keep my head focused, my mind so engaged and focused on something that if I didn't, that I would just fall into the abyss with this pain, this excruciating pain. And so I used to work in the occupational therapy field when my children were little, and I gave that up just because daycare was raising my kids, and I hated that. And so I took on what I call mom jobs, you know, just the 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. work, so I could be with my kids in the morning and in the afternoon after school. And a week before my daughter's passing, she had said to me, "When are you going to have a cool job again?" And I had said, "I'm a driving instructor. You don't think that's a cool job?" And she's like, "No, occupational therapy was a cool job. Driving instructor is not cool." So that stuck in my head that I didn't have a cool job. And probably 5 years prior to our accident, we were talking about acupuncture, and it just popped into my head literally out of the blue when I was thinking about what will I do with my life now. And so I thought, well, that's it. I'll sign up and I'll go to school for acupuncture, because I know that that will keep my mind completely focused and I will stay right. I mean, it's hard. It's a master's degree program, and I have to be focused. I have to be right there in that moment. And acupuncture in and of itself, it's all about life force energy. It's all about balance. It's all about living in harmony and alignment. And I could not have picked a better field to help accelerate my healing and to understand how the body works while it's going through the grieving process, along with every other bodily, diseases and disharmony that we have in our just everyday life that presents itself. So yeah, acupuncture was phenomenal in helping me to recover and to get back into harmony of my own life.
Well, that's fabulous. But you did have another daughter, evidently, correct?
I have a son.
Oh, you have a son.
Yes.
So at least you had another child there to help you as well. How did he deal with his sister's passing?
Oh, well, he didn't do well. He did not do well. He was on a bad road of drugs and alcohol. And after losing his sister, they were best friends. He was only 16. He really took a turn for the worst. And his father and I were divorced, and I didn't find out until years later. But I was saying to my current husband that I'm going to lose both of my children because I knew my son was going to die from a drug overdose. And years later, talking to his father, he told me the same thing. That was his feeling too, that we were going to lose both of our children. And miraculously, I don't know how that boy turned it around, but he did. And I am so happy to say that 11 years later, he is doing so well. He owns his own business, and he's happy and thriving and is happy to talk about his sister. He wasn't for about 7 years. He didn't even want to hear her name brought up around him. So yeah, he's doing wonderful now.
Wow. So
yeah.
What's been your biggest self-discovery throughout all of this?
My biggest self-discovery is that we have untapped power and capabilities inside of us. And sometimes we don't discover those until some type of tragedy happens. I had no idea how powerful the human, I just lost the word that I wanted, Gail, I'm sorry. How we can bounce back from the biggest tragedies in the world. And I never thought that I had that in me. You hear about people suffering horrific traumas and being able to recover from that, and then to help other people recover from their traumas. I never thought that I would be one of those people. And yet that's exactly what happened, because we all have that power inside of us. Sometimes we just don't recognize it. And sometimes it is that tragedy that unleashes that power to heal and opens up really the doors to what we are capable of, and our full capacities of everything that we can be and do in this world. And that's powerful.
Well, I think the word you were looking for is resilient.
Thank you. Thank you.
And it is amazing how resilient we are. You know, we think we aren't, but we are. And so, what would you advise? What would your one piece of advice be for our listeners if they were coming to terms with the loss of a loved one?
My one piece of advice would be, I truly believe that we are always connected, that even when somebody passes away, that energy, that physical body is not here, but that energy of that person, that spirit of that person is still here. And in fact, it's Rumi who said that goodbyes are only for those who love with their eyes, because for those who love with their heart and soul, there is no such thing as separation. And if we can know that, and we're all going to die. That's just a fact of life. And if we know that we are always connected while we are still here, and if you can live your life as fully as humanly possible in each moment, that is a way to honor those who have gone before us. And we'll catch up with them. They're patiently waiting for us to catch up with them.
Well, you know, yesterday I was looking out the window. I live on the water, and where I live now, I can see a place that my husband and I used to go in our boat all the time for dinners. You know, I mean, we went in our swimming suits and, you know, we looked like messes, but it was that kind of a place. And we'd always order the onion soup and the steak sandwich, and we had a ball. Yeah. And I looked, and I was talking to him. I said, and this is 11 years, I said, you know, we used to have so much fun when we went there, and we did so much together. And, you know, it was like he was right here. I was talking to him. So I certainly understand that. But you said you also had a huge regret and a realization a year after her death. What was that one event, and how did it catapult you to a new level of awareness?
Oh, wow. Yeah. So, Gail, this was crazy because I live out in the country a little bit, and I was driving home, and I literally just had a breakdown. I couldn't drive the car. I had to kind of stop in the middle of the road, and I'm sobbing. And I mean, the ugly sobbing breakdown. And I kept saying out loud, screaming, I didn't love you enough. I didn't love you enough. Because if I would have picked you up off of that table from the morgue, and I would have taken you home with me. And that made complete sense to me in that moment that I was having this breakdown in the middle of the road out in the country. And as I'm saying this, I felt this presence in the right upper corner of my car, of my daughter. And I recognized that I felt that same exact presence when I was in the morgue. And it was the same thing. And it was my daughter, Darah, looking at me, watching, am I going to walk my talk? Because I had always told the kids that, you know, people are going to pass away in our life, right? Because they lost their grandparents, and people are going to pass away, and we're going to feel really sad about that. And we're going to cry, and we're going to have bad days, and then we're going to pop out of it, and we're going to continue living our life, and we're going to remember those that we love. And we're going to know that they're going to a good place, and we'll be with them too. And our best way of honoring them is living a great life and really loving the things that you're doing and being good to other people. Well, if I would have tried to pick her up off of that table and carry her out of that morgue, I never would have walked my own talk. It would have been a lie. And that's what I heard her say to me. That whole thing would have been a lie. My 18 years would have been a lie. And that was my first realization that, oh my God, we are so connected, even still. Even though your physical body is not here, you have not left me. I have not left you. We are always connected like this. It was phenomenal.
Wow. Wow. So were you able to forgive the man who hit and killed your daughter? Did you know who it was?
Yes. Well, at the time we didn't know. I live in Minnesota, and I know here if there's a vehicular homicide, the state takes that person to court and charges them with vehicular homicide. So it's a long, year-long process before we even got to get to the courtroom. And when I was sitting in the courtroom, I went by myself. I chose to go by myself. I didn't want any family or any friends to be there the very first day, because all he does is he just has to stand in front of the judge and plead guilty or not guilty. That's it. And then walks out of the courtroom. So literally it's 5 seconds. And I just said, I want to do this by myself. So I'm driving over to the courtroom. It's about 35 miles away from me. And I'm thinking, this is crazy. I can't be here alone. I'm going to attack him. I'm going to jump the banister, because I've been in a lot of courtrooms. Remember, my son had been in trouble, so I knew what the courtroom looked like. I'm going to jump this banister and I'm going to attack him, and they're going to haul me off to jail. This is crazy. But it was already in motion. I had to be there. So I'm sitting in the courtroom and I'm waiting for them to call his name. And they call his name and he walks right past me. And the moment he passed me, he was 59 when the accident happened. So now he's 60 because it's a year-long process. And the moment he walks past me, there is this wave of forgiveness that just washed over me. And I have no question in my mind that that was my daughter, that she forgave him long before I did. And that feeling of, my God, I feel as bad and sorry for you as I do for me, because for a whole year you had to live with this, not knowing anything about that young girl that was involved in that accident with you.
So did they find him guilty or not guilty?
Oh, they found him guilty. They found him guilty. And the beautiful thing was, this judge who had reigned over many cases, we asked that he was not put in jail for the 2 years that they wanted to put him in jail for, because it wouldn't serve a purpose. And this man, it was so interesting, because I would say, why Darah and why him? He had Asperger's, and he was, when he showed up to court, his hair was a little disheveled. His glasses were dirty, like he pushed them up with his fingers. And you could just tell that life beat him up all of his life. And I thought, it took me a while to come to the realization that that's why it was those two, because he had an opportunity to be forgiven for something that was the ultimate punishment, right? Killing another person. That's the ultimate in pain. And he got to hear Darah's mom and stepdad say to you, we don't hate you. We forgive you. And we feel as bad for you as we do for us, in front of the judge and everybody in the courtroom, because that was the truth. It was as horrible for him as it was for us. And to be able to forgive him was absolutely the biggest blessing that we had ever been given. And to this day, that's still the biggest blessing we were ever given.
Wow, that's amazing. Yeah. So how has this event then added meaning and purpose to other people who you deal with?
I'm able to see things on both sides of the street now, where before I couldn't. So if somebody was to talk to me about somebody like Bruce, he was the man that hit my daughter, and I would say, that SOB, and like everything is wrong with that. He needs to be in jail for his life. It's like, that's not true. I got to see that part of me, that forgiveness piece of me, and to be able to offer that to others, to be able to see things from both sides and maybe change your perspective, even in the most traumatic of events that are happening, and to be able to help that person that is suffering through, whether it's a physical loss of a person or the loss of a job or the loss of a dream, and to be able to help them walk those steps and to navigate a new way of living. And sometimes it even becomes a more profoundly meaningful way of living your life.
Wow, that's pretty powerful. So, was your daughter in a car, or did he hit her at a crosswalk, or what happened?
Yeah, no, she was in a car. She was in a car. She had just taken a friend she was on her way home, almost home, just a few miles from home. And a friend had called her and had too much to drink and asked if he would give her a ride. So she picked him up and went 30 miles the other direction. And on her way coming home, and it's so funny because I taught her how to drive. And she was at an intersection and her light had just turned green. And we know this because there were witnesses. It was 3 a.m. and the light turned green and she had just barely gotten into the intersection. And this man coming the other direction ran the red light and hit her, on the side of the car. And the way the medical examiner called it is they say, we just call that lights out because it severed her spinal cord. And she said that the thing that's beautiful about that is there's no fear, there's no worry, there's no scared. It's just literally the lights are on and the lights are off. And there was a comfort in knowing that she didn't have that panic of, oh my God, what is happening? And all of that. There was a comfort in knowing that it was like the lights out quick. Yeah.
Well, you sure have a powerful message, Nada. We have about 5 minutes left. So actually we only have about 3 minutes left now, but let's tell people how to find you. If you have a gift for them, anything at all you'd like to tell them.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Gail. So yes, you can find me at nadahogan.com and you can email me at the same address, which is nada@nadahogan.com. And I do offer a free gift for your listeners, and you can get that at nadahogan.com/epic life. And that free gift is 3 essential steps to transform your loss into an outrageously passionate life.
Fantastic. Now, Nada is Nada. Hogan is Hogan. So it's nadahogan.com. And her email is Nada, Nada, @nadahogan.com. And the free gift is at nadahogan.com/epic. What's the rest of it?
Life.
Epic life.
Yes.
Fantastic. Well, I'll tell you something. This has certainly been an interesting conversation because I know that there are people listening who have lost a loved one and have not been able to move on. And that's really a double tragedy because not only have you lost someone, but you have also lost yourself in a way too. So the fact that you have given this advice, the fact that you have this gift of epic living is a very generous offer, Nada. We appreciate that so much. And the fact that you are able to show people that you can go on, but you still feel Darah. Darah shows up in your life, maybe not on a daily basis, but she's certainly there. So it's so important to be able to understand that that's a big help. So we have 1 minute left. Is there anything that you would like to leave our audience with that we have not covered?
I think because one of the things that comes up a lot is forgiveness. I hear people talking about how do you forgive? And this is just one of my favorite quotes from A Course in Miracles. And this I think is helpful for everybody, where it says, forgiveness is a shift in perception that removes a block in me to my awareness of love's presence. Because love is always present. And I think if we can be in that space of love, we really do begin to start turning this world around and changing it for the best for everybody, generations to come.
Well said, Nada. I couldn't have said it better myself. Thank you so much for being with us.
Thank you very much, Gail. I appreciate it so much. Thank you.
Thanks for listening, and I hope you enjoyed today's show. I choose my guests carefully, so if you have someone you'd like me to interview, please drop me a line at gailcarson13@gmail.com. In the meantime, check out my intro program, Mindset Matters, at www.sobmindset.com. See you next week.